If you're watching this, I want you to understand what an authentic day as a student athlete in college is supposed to look like. On top of making content, being a student and an athlete has its pros and cons. But over time, I've learned what works for me, and I wanted to show you what a realistic day in the life looks like. On most mornings, I wake up around 7 a.m. This is just what works for me, allows me to get the most sleep at night while also being able to get up and be productive. Some days I'll sleep in if I really need to, but on Monday like today, my first class is at 8, so gotta get up and get ready early. A typical day for me includes a couple workouts as well as 2 to 3 classes, on top of having to study and edit content. I always start my morning off with a little bit of morning hydration though. For me, liquid IV and some water with a little bit of creatine and honey is a great way to actually start off my day. For me, in the morning, it's all about carbs, so I can actually get a little bit of energy behind me, creatine, and a little bit of protein for muscle recovery, because the night before always seeps into the morning after. Hydration can actually be really easy as an athlete if you do it right. In reality, you just want to have about 6 to 8 servings of water, and then just mix in some electrolytes when you can. Like I said, in the morning, I'm all focused on carbs, and I eat the same thing for breakfast relatively every day. It's either ground chicken or ground beef, and I mix it in with 2 scrambled eggs with some onions and peppers. So this morning was no different. I got straight to it. Today I did ground chicken. Ground chicken and 93.7 ground beef are pretty similar in macros, unless you get ground chicken breast, which is lower in fat. That's my preference, but it's a little bit harder to find. So all I do is I season it up, make it all together in one pan, and that's a great way for me to start my day off. I need a good amount of energy out of this, so I also add a little bit of honey to it while I'm seasoning it. Today, I really need some energy in the morning because we have 2 lifts today, 1 private, 1 team lift. On top of that, we have a lot of homework to do and 3 different classes, including a lab at 2 o'clock. So today is a day I'm going to be eating a lot of carbs. I'm going to be really locked in on my nutrition so I can have energy to get through the day. While me and my breakfast, every morning I like to read a proverb. I feel like as a man, if you want to improve on your wisdom and your decision making, you should be reading at least 1 proverb per day. And if you can stay consistent with this, the amount of things that you'll learn, the amount of things that you'll protect yourself from, the amount of things that you'll have discernment from really makes you a better man, better athlete, student, boyfriend, husband, father, whatever your goal is. I feel like as a man, you should shoot for that. So tell me why I'm walking to class and the president of our school just drives by me, just smiling and waving, bro. Like, my first class at 8 this morning, so I got back around 9. Just want y'all to take a look into a student athlete type of fridge. Just a lot of meal prep, a lot of different ingredients. Try to eat 4 to 5 meals per day, as well as the drinks. Got some protein shakes in there, as well as some quick electrolytes for this very reason. The next thing I do in my day is I go ahead and do my private lift. Around 9 o'clock, I'm in the gym pretty much every day and focusing on mobility and core work primarily. This is the mobility routine that I've found works for me, and of course, everybody is going to be different, so it's pretty important that you find a core routine that's going to tailor towards your body and your overall goals and needs. For me, I have a lot of pain in my knee, which usually comes from hip stiffness, as well as a lack of flexibility in your hamstrings. So my mobility routine is primarily focused on opening up my hips, focusing on my knee pain, and getting myself ready for a workout. I do work out full body every single day. Primarily, I start with mobility and then go into some core work. Then I do lower body work, which is also focused on mobility and just strengthen the patella in my different joints. And then I do some upper body mobility before I go into an upper body strength workout. This is what works for me pretty much every day. It allows me to stay manageable with it, and I can take an off day about once to twice a week, depending on my practice and game schedule. Today, once I finished up with my mobility warm up, I went straight into some core work. This is just the core work that works for me. I do 30 seconds of each. Start with 30 seconds of sit-ups, followed by 30 seconds of leg raises, 30 seconds of toe touches. By the time you get to the toe touches, you're going to be burning. Now I go straight into a 30-second plank. This is when my stomach really starts to hurt. I'm not going to lie. Right here, you should feel your stomach and your back working. There's nothing wrong with that. Your back is a part of your core. And especially being an explosive athlete, you need to have a pretty strong lower back in order to be able to deadlift and be able to perform at your highest. After that, I go into the lower body work. Like I said, the lower body work is primarily focused on strengthening up my knees, strengthening up my legs, but it's also focused on mobility and technique. So right here, I'm working on landing both feet at the same time, because that's going to prevent injury while I'm playing. Also focusing on the strength of my patella so I can prevent any ACL injury. Prehab is really important, and a lot of these drills are things that ACL injuries have to do in rehab. So doing them before you get injured can really help your recovery if you do get injured later on. After that, I move into some upper body mobility. Again, this is super important to be able to perform at your highest. Shoulders, especially being a volleyball player. And now I get into the upper body strength. My upper body strength workouts are honestly focused towards my aesthetics. I don't really care about my aesthetics all that much, but when I'm going light and I have a lift later on in the day, I try to make sure that I focus on little attention to detailed things. After my workout, I got crushed down a protein shake. The strawberry protein shakes are my favorite, and I get straight into the meal prep. If I still have classes or things to do in the day, I make sure that I eat a lot of carbs in my meal prep. Hey, hold on. Y'all know that dude Jack, day in the life? I've seen him on Instagram, always be getting hype whenever he come out the bathroom. That's who I be feeling like whenever I be recording these videos. But after that, I went to class and then got some food before my lab. Like I said, I am a student first, but at the end of the day, I also need to take care of myself. So I came back home, did some laundry before I decided to take a much needed nap. As an athlete, I feel like there's nothing wrong with taking naps. It'd be a great way to recharge and get ready for the rest of your day. Around 6 o'clock is when I wake up from my nap, and instantly I'm rehydrating and working on dinner. I still have to do a lot of editing and homework, but thankfully I'm done with all my classes. So I go ahead and eat my first dinner here. This would be my fourth meal of the day. It's also a pre-workout meal, so I'm still trying to get in carbs. So for this one, I want chicken and rice with a side Caesar salad. It's just what's going to help me get my muscles fueled up so I can be able to have energy during my workout. But before I get into any of that, I have to make sure that I'm locked in on my schooling. So around 7 o'clock, I go to my chem lab, my learning lab, and I really just focus on a couple of things. Firstly, just getting homework done, but also getting some editing done. Being a content creator on top of being a student athlete, I have to make sure I have time to actually produce videos, or else I'm not going to be able to make it anywhere. So I try to be productive with my days. After that, I get my mobility warmed up because, like I said, I have a lift. The lift is about a 15 to 20 minute walk, so I decided to run it so I can actually warm up before I get to the gym. Slightly off campus, but we still made it at 8:15, which is the time that we get straight into the workout. After practice, I had to come back to the crib and get my post-practice eats. Honestly, after practice, normally I just go with some pasta. It's the simplest thing that you can eat. Get some easy carbs and protein back. Still gotta do dishes, still gotta do simple things just to be able to keep the house in order. Now, if you stayed to the end, I got a little surprise for you. We are now sponsored Yes, I just got sponsored by Underdog Athletics. They got the best Christian athlete merch in the game. So if you want to rep the Lord while playing your sports, make sure you click the link in the comments and use code KINGX to get 15% off your purchase. Thanks for watching. Peace.